Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the World of Wrestling Podcast. Here today to talk about AEW Dynamite, June 24th, 2026 review, and this show absolutely fucking sucked so bad it made me want to fall asleep. Actually, it did. During the Queen Automata match, and I forgot her opponent's name, but not that it really matters. The show absolutely sucked ass. Pretty much. I was absolutely bored out of my mind. This did not hit. I've been very pro AEW here in the last couple of months since Revolution, actually. And Double or Nothing really hit it for me, but since after Double or Nothing, this show, each time it got closer to Forbidden Door, this show got worse and worse. There's no stories really all that much. The Mark Briscoe storyline trying to capture a world championship opportunity, I do not understand why we're doing this. I don't know why a steel cage match needs to come into order. I don't know why we had to have MJF smash his knee into the freaking outside floor with a pile driver to Roosh during that World Championship match a couple of weeks ago, injuring him and preventing him to be able to defend the title in a one-on-one match. Now, from what I saw, it looked like MJF was moving around pretty darn good at the end of the show when he tried to charge at Mark Briscoe from behind and attacked him. Now, I'm not MJF. I don't know how his body's holding up right now. I don't know if his knee is doing good. Maybe he took some painkillers before the show to ignore the pain so he wouldn't feel it when he did the shit he had to do in the ring at the end of the show. But to be quite frank, I thought that he was moving around in that ring pretty darn good. So unless he's taking some medication to numb the pain, that's about the only explanation as to why he's able to move as good as he's moving around, at least in this episode anyway. What else? The show kickstarted. Oh my god, this show kickstarted with the most ridiculous thing I ever seen on a wrestling show in my life. Maybe something WWE has accomplished, and I just don't remember, obviously, because WWE's unmemorable. There's nothing memorable about WWE's programming anymore. But yeah, they kickstarted with the Death Riders going ahead and talking about how they're gonna go ahead and work as a team and win this match. They're going into war against the fucking, in a 4-on-4 tag team match, I believe. I'm trying to remember. Let me just pull up this guide for the wonderful show that we watched here tonight. Because this show was by far the crappiest Dynamite I've seen in quite a while. This was not a go-home show, in my opinion. I thought this show fell flat on its face. So, we had Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Jon Moxley going against Mystico, Bandito, and Brody King. Why are we doing this? I don't know. I mean, I know Jon Moxley and Bandito have a Continental Championship match coming up at this pay-per-view, but I didn't know that we needed to do a 6-man tag team match in the middle of all this. But before the match even took place, the Death Riders were backstage. Moxley says this is what they live for, to have their backs, not to stop, and to move forward. As they go ahead and get prepared for this match, they have Will Ospreay standing there, and they're all putting their arms around each other's shoulders and whatnot, trying to do like a huddle type of thing. And Will Ospreay's going, what? What are we doing? And all of a sudden, Daniel Garcia, who got under Will Ospreay's nerves. I think last week or the week before. Um, he smacked him in the chest and come on, man, join in. He's like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden they start circling around like crazy lunatics. And then Will Ospreay, I don't know if this was part of the script, this was supposed to happen, or this just happened because Will Ospreay was dizzy, but he started falling over trash cans. Yes, he fell into a trash can. I guess he got so dizzy from circling around that he lost his footing and fell on his ass. Daniel Garcia started laughing. Will Ospreay started laughing. They thought that was funny. I think they were breaking character there, which is fine. I don't mind that. I thought that was kind of funny, but still, was it necessary? Did we need to see that? Did it elevate any storyline? Absolutely not. The only thing you got out of this was just a little bit of a laugh from Will Ospreay getting dizzy. That's about it. Claudio Castagnoli, Jon Moxley, and Willa Yuta end up winning this match thanks to Claudio Castagnoli hitting, I believe it was Brody King over the back of the skull with the Continental Championship. Oh, no. It was Marina Shafir. Excuse me. Marina Shafir. Marina Shafir distracted the referee. I'm getting my shit mixed up here. Marina Shafir distracted the referee, and Claudio Castagnoli clanked Bandito with the Continental Championship for a roll-up pinfall and the victory. Now, at the pay-per-view, we're not going to have any outside interferences. There's not going to be anyone getting involved. It's just going to be them two in the middle of this match. And that's it. Okay, fine. I guess I could live with that. But I thought the Death Riders were supposed to be baby faces now. They don't need to cheat. They just kind of win and work real hard and grind their opponents out until they make them want to submit or give up and just lay there for 3 seconds with their shoulders pinned to the mat or tap out in a submission hold is something like that. But, like, did I miss the plot? Do I know what's going on here? Like, they keep mixing the shit up. I don't quite understand this, to be quite frank with you. I think that this company is really lost in what's a baby face and what's a heel. I truly believe that, in all honesty. So, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. But, to be quite frank with you guys, I don't really care. That's the truth. Good wrestling tonight. Not gonna say anything bad about the wrestling. Wrestling, most of the time on this show, is fantastic, entertaining. It is indie wrestling. That is what you get for AEW, but you don't get any elevated storylines. That's where our issue is here. That's where I have a problem with AEW. If they actually had great wrestling like they usually do, and they actually had elevated storylines that make you really enticed and wanting to purchase the pay-per-view, why, I wouldn't say one bad thing about AEW. To me, it would be a great show to watch week to week. Hell, if the storylines from Dynamite carried over in Collision, I'd probably say fuck Monday Night Raw, fuck WWE. I'd just focus on AEW and find a few other indie wrestling promotions like MLW to cover on a week-to-week basis, and say fuck to WWE altogether, outside of doing outside of the monthly pay-per-view events, which I don't have a problem with the WWE pay-per-view events too much. They're actually better than the fucking televised weekly shows, because we finally get the conclusion of this shit, but then again, sometimes the shows are absolutely boring, and you didn't miss a fucking thing. So, it is what it is. But yeah, Jon Moxley ends up winning this matchup. We then cut to Renee Paquette, who is with the conglomeration. Darby says they are not ready, but they will do anything possible to win. Orange Cassidy says he will make sure they all have backpacks for them to put what they want in them. Really? What are we going to work? What is the backpack supposed to be, our lunch boxes or something? Or going to school. Oh, yeah, that's it. Going to school. Forgot all about that. Today's schooling is nothing like what us kids went to when we were in our teen years back in the early 2000s and the 90s and whatnot. Back then, you actually went to school and you learned something. Today, you just learn to be abnormally stupid and just want to play around on your phone all the time and fight with your teachers, which to me makes absolutely no sense. Back in my day, when you did that, you got removed from the classroom and you got expelled from the school. If you were, depending on the level of trouble you were causing, but yeah, generally they just remove you from the classroom and not give a fuck and fail you. Today they just sit there and put up with a loudmouth, cussing little brat who thinks he is something when he's really nothing more than a schmuck with no brain. And the parents obviously don't care. And that seems to be a problem as well, which kind of explains their behavior. But why should I have any reason to say anything about that? I don't know. Anyway, kind of a little off topic there, but let me get back on track. Anyway, we had survival of the fittest qualifier determining who would get to be in this matchup. I think it's a 6 women's match where the winner can get the TBS Women's Championship. Right now they're just doing qualifiers for this. So it's going to be a 6-woman survival of the fittest type matchup, a Ring of Honor concept, by the way. And these 6 women are going to compete, I think it said next week on Dynamite for the TBS Women's Championship. So we're going to crown a new women's TBS champion since Willow Nightingale can't defend the title anymore because of her bum shoulder. The winner here was actually Harley Cameron. Are you fucking serious? I mean, Marina Shafir is not the greatest wrestler in the whole wide world, but she has more experience in fighting. She's an MMA fighter. The woman knows how to fight. And you're making her lose to Harley Cameron of all people? This woman's a fucking enforcer on the Death Riders and you're having her lose. Please tell me where this shit makes any sense. Because to me it makes absolutely none. Now, will I say she's the greatest wrestler in the women's division? Absolutely not. I'd be a fucking idiot if I said that Marina Shafir was a great wrestler. But she actually has training in actual fighting. So she has to have some accountability, some value to the women's division in some capacity. But she was just totally disrespected here. I was surprised they had her lose. Harley Cameron wins. She's moving on. We get a video package that airs of the women's Owen Hart tournament finals with Maya World and Mercedes Moné, and pretty much stating that she wins championships and dreams do not win you championships. Maya May ended up winning a massive victory over Athena. Athena celebrated with her, congratulated her, and then ended up in the end beating the shit out of her, while Mercedes Moné sat there and laughed after she submitted her to death. So not really impressed by that. I think Mercedes Moné is walking away with the win, and she's moving on to Tekla for the Women's World Championship at All In. My personal opinion, I think Forbidden Door is not going to be a bad show, but the build and lead up towards it sucked ass. Really bad show. Leading up towards it. What else? I'm going to be going over the preview predictions on both WWE's Night of Champions and the Forbidden Door pay-per-view tomorrow on Thursday night, so you guys will be getting uploads on that, so keep an eye out for that. We then had Will Ospreay versus ELP. Have no fucking idea who this guy is. He comes from New Japan Pro Wrestling, another name that no one's ever heard of unless you follow New Japan Pro Wrestling religiously, and he ain't even a draw. He ends up losing to Will Ospreay, obviously, with the Hidden Blade, and gets the victory. After the match is over, Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana come out, and then we transition into another match. We're transitioning from matches to matches that link up to storylines that deal with each other. Or factions that deal with one another. What? What the fuck is this shit? I mean, tell me when I'm, complaining for the sake of just complaining for my own reasoning. Because I don't think I'm complaining just for the hell of it. I think I have a reason to complain about how idiotic this is. They really had to put Swerve Strickland right after Will Ospreay's match? Did we really have to go that route? Was it necessary? I didn't think so. They could have put this right before the main event. Done that. Something, separate it. Give it some time to breathe, But anyway, Swerve Strickland ended up beating Daniel Garcia. After the match was over, he looked to want to hurt him some more. And Will Ospreay then came out, hit Swerve with a kick to the face. And by the way, Swerve Strickland ended up winning this match with the Hidden Blade, Will Ospreay's finishing maneuver, by the way, which I found to be very interesting. And after the match though, Swerve grabs Garcia, but out comes Will, and he hits Swerve with a kick to the face. Prince Nana trips Will and Swerve with the house call. Swerve lifts Will, but Garcia moves Will out of the way, and Swerve with the vertebreaker. And in comes Will with a chair, but Swerve leaves the ring. So there's some camaraderie here. Daniel Garcia is protecting his comrade, as you could say. So there's some friendship building between these two. I kind of like that. That's telling a little bit of a story, as Will Ospreay is kind of developing a relationship with this group. They're starting to show care for one another. Daniel Garcia going after Swerve to protect Will Ospreay, I think that was awesome. And same for Will doing the same for Daniel Garcia. So I thought that was pretty nice. A little thing to throw in there. Jack Perry versus Zack Sabre Jr. Okay match, but nothing to go crazy over. Zack Sabre Jr. ends up winning this match by submission. So, following that, we actually had the Young Bucks going up against Bad Dude Tito and Mikey Nicholas. Or Nicholas. Whatever the fuck his name is. Who the fuck cares? This match didn't even last that long. They ended up winning by the a super kick and a double team on Nicholas, and they got the 1, 2, 3 for the victory. Wow. Great stuff. Whew. Then after the match, out comes Zack Sabre Jr. and hits the Young Bucks, but out comes Kenny Omega and Jack Perry. Omega with a Snapdragon suplex onto Zack Sabre Jr. to close out the segment. Great stuff, guys. Real cool stuff. Next, we have the Survival of the Fittest qualifier again with Queen Aminata and Red Velvet. Queen Aminata ends up winning this match. This is the portion of the show that I fell asleep on. Yeah. Great shit. Had a nice little nap and went for about 5-10 minutes maybe, and ended up feeling like my neck was starting to hurt because my neck was like on the arm of the chair, and all of a sudden I started feeling a bad pain in my neck, and it woke me up. Damn. It was a good sleep though, I'll tell you. Then we cut back, and Renee Paquette is with the Young Bucks as they are speaking. We see Copeland and Christian throwing the dogs downstairs. They're looking up, down, they're looking everywhere. You're wondering what the fuck's going on here. And both teams begin to fight backstage. The dogs begin to choke Christian and Cope with cable wires, and they said, you can do it. You can do it, and we can do it better. Great. Whoop-de-doo. And a little nod by Adam Copeland and Christian saying, hey boys, how you doing, to the Young Bucks. So the Young Bucks and Christian and Adam Copeland obviously are being hinted. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a Young Bucks versus Adam Copeland Christian match for the tag team titles at All In. That's where I'm kind of leaning towards. Following that, we have the main event with Takeshita and Ricochet for the International Championship. I don't know how Ricochet all of a sudden gets a International Championship where he hasn't been shown for the last couple of weeks now, since closing out his program with Chris Jericho. But hey, what the fuck do I know? This was not a bad match by any means. This was a very fun, entertaining matchup. Takeshita ends up at the end winning this matchup and remaining the International Champion. So I thought this was a good match, very entertaining. And that was pretty much that. Then out comes Mark Briscoe to the ring. He talks about Sunday's steel cage match. He says that he agrees with MJF when MJF said that they are nothing alike. He says MJF is a privileged, entitled, soft little baby boy, while he's a grown-ass man who earns things that he wants. Sounds like he's said the same exact stuff before. I could be wrong, but I think he did. Not to mention, we have him saying that we're nothing alike, and thank God I'm nothing like you. Kind of nonsense. He's said that plenty of times. Then all of a sudden, Don Callis shows up. And Don Callis asks him one question. Are you out of your mind? Have you lost your mind? He's also going on saying that the Don Callis family, he says he's got guys on his side that care about him, will band with him and die with him, and he will do the same with them. And he pretty much says the Don Callis family don't give a rat's ass about you. If you combust tomorrow, they would piss on the ashes. They wouldn't even help you get out of the, get the fire off of you. They wouldn't give a shit. They'd let you burn. I kind of agree with that commentary. That I definitely agree with. The only reason why they're doing anything for him is because of the money he's offering them, which is all this whole thing is about, which will eventually bite MJF in the ass. But yeah, Don Callis, he pretty much states, I got one question, are you out of your mind? Like, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden, MJF comes out of nowhere, attacks him. Then we get one member after another showing up here or there. What the fuck are we doing? We couldn't do this in the beginning of the show. We couldn't do this in the middle of the show, like at the 9 o'clock hour, to give the show a chance to breathe. That would have been a great time to do it right after Will Ospreay's match, and then do Swerve Strickland's match after that. But this nonsense with each member one at a time, and you knew exactly who was coming out too, that was way too fucking predictable. Making this very, very strange, honestly. Eventually we led down to Andrade El Idolo. He shows up, makes the save. But still tension between MJF. MJF is telling him to pick him up. He doesn't like being ordered around by MJF. Don Callis tries to talk some sense into him. He convinces him to go do it. He does it, he picks him up, and then he gets cracked in the fucking face with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. This didn't go over very well. And then eventually, I believe... Hold on. Mark goes with the J Driller and on, I think, Andrade. MJF. And then Mark lifts the AEW World title and Dynamite goes off the air. That's what we got. That was our show in a nutshell. I don't know, guys. I didn't think much of it. I thought, they tried to touch on everything, but really, you did what you needed. I think last week's episode was more of a go-home show than this one. The speech we got from last week between Swerve and Will Ospreay, I actually think this should have been saved for the go-home show. Not taking any credit away from the commentary promo between these two. They did an excellent job. I think it just was on the wrong week. I think that should have closed this show tonight. Take off the fucking matches that they both had. I don't understand what the hell that was. Apparently Forbidden Door was tonight. We had members from other wrestling promotions appearing on the show tonight, which I don't get why Forbidden Door is Sunday, not tonight for Wednesday night Dynamite. Am I missing the message here? Am I missing the days? Is today Sunday night? If it was, I would have been off for 8 fucking plus hours, and I had to work tonight. Today's Wednesday, so I actually worked for over 9 hours. It was a lot of fun, let me tell you. I can't fucking stand my job. I wish this would get off the fucking ground already, but then again, I can't even get enough money saved to get the show looking better and having a better presentation. So, what can I say? But anyway, guys, this show sucked ass. This was a poor Dynamite episode, I have to say. I don't think this show really gave me a whole lot of excitement to bite into. I'm grateful, though, that I have access to the My AEW subscription through using the VPN, so I'm only paying $19.99 a month. Well, technically $22.88. But still, it's a lot cheaper than $50 for a pay-per-view on a month-to-month basis. And it's included with the AEW Dynamite episodes on a week-to-week basis that I can watch right on there with the AEW, with the VPN app. The VPN that I'm using with Surfshark, which I'm only paying $29.99 every 6 months, which is not a bad deal. My next payment's due on October. So, and I paid it in April, so that's not a bad deal. Honestly, I would rather do it this way, watching it on the My AEW and use the VPN, because, hell, there was hardly any commercials on this. When they went to commercial breaks in the United States, anyone that was using the VPN was able to watch the content all the way through without any interruption with commercials. So, if you're sick and tired of the commercials, use the VPN, get the subscription, cancel your HBO Max if you're not using HBO Max for anything else but AEW Dynamite stuff. That's pretty much what I would do. So, anyway, that's my thoughts on the show, guys. I don't know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of the show. If you thought it was good, well, good for you. You had something to enjoy. Me, on the other hand, I took a nice 5-10 minute nap, and then my neck started to hurt, and it gave me the awareness I needed to be awake because my neck was being strained by me tilting my head all the way down on the fucking arm of a chair on the couch. So, kind of a bummer for me. But, yeah. That's the way I felt about this show. So, leave your comments down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hit the like button and the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a great night, guys.